Hey everybody, my name is Wyatt and I am Ferda Tunes, and you know what time it is. I'm always so excited to do these videos. The top 50 best albums of the year 2023 to my ears. I released my top 50 best singles of the year yesterday, hopefully.
We did it, no.
And there's really not much lead up. I said, we had some catching up to do in the last video. New setup, obviously, if you haven't seen, wow, it's so crazy. I won't be holding the iPad in this one because that already just gave me a fucking headache recording the last video. So I got my TV set up, the thing, so yeah. So I am going to do things a teeny bit differently this year, more inclusive for y'all and the people who are watching and may not know a whole lot about modern music. Hi, Grandma. This year, for every single album I will put, it'll be here, one song from each album that I think is absolutely essential. Like the best window into the album, you know what I mean? So, if you're interested in any of the things I say, first of all, subscribe to your boy. Stay tuned. And second of all, check out that essential track. Give it a little shot. Dive into the album, I really, I do these lists for my own sanity first. Twice, because it's just kind of the thing you do as a music content creator, right? And 3, because I want to highlight all the amazing music that I've heard this year, all the new music, hopefully put y'all on to some good stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do. So before we get into it, I didn't put together a best EPs of the year list. Again, I don't really check for EPs too much unless they're from an artist that I already know and love. So here we'll just run a quick shout out to all the EPs that I did hear this year and that I loved very, very much. They are all worth your time. They're great. Very good stuff. Short listens. Why not, right? Run it up.
Like NASCAR, you bet not go, but you better get your mind right, boy.
Also, as usual, there are quite a few albums that I just couldn't get to this year. I normally just chalk them in the description, but there are quite a few, and I want to emphasize that I still plan to listen to these albums. I'm not a machine, and I have a life, so I can't listen to every single thing. So these are the ones that I unfortunately missed. You know how it goes, so run those ones.
I'm out of town, thuggin' with my round, my coochie pink, my booty hole brown. Where the niggas come?
Hey yo,
Speaking of albums that were maybe on the list or that I really enjoyed regardless, honorable mentions, run 'em up.
It's my love, it's mine, all mine.
I'm vanilla, baby. I'll choke you, but I ain't no killer, baby.
And without further ado, 50 best albums of the year to my ears. Starting off with number 50, we got Dying Fetus with Making Them Beg for Death. Any family members that are watching, just don't worry about that one. Let's move on to number 49. We got Roisin Murphy with Hit Parade. And I'm not sure which album cover was uglier, honestly, right off the bat. At number 48, we got King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard with Petro-Dragonic Apocalypse, or Dawn of Eternal Night, an annihilation of planet Earth and the beginning of merciless damnation. Number 47, we got Squid with Oh Monolith, an album I didn't really expect to enjoy because I'm not big on that scene, but this was just a great, weird, experimental rock record. Number 46, we got Afterbirth, In But Not Of. Great band names this year, guys. I know Dying Fetus is like a legendary death metal band, but like, Christ. Number 45, we got Slowdive, going back to what they do best with Everything Is Alive. Number 44, we got Andrea, criminally underrated electronic project with Do in Color. Why I keep pointing at I should be pointing at y'all. Number 43, we got Earth Eater with Powder. Oh my god, why did I sleep on Earth Eater? I should have listened to y'all. There's a bunch of people telling me to dive into her. Hey, maybe. Number 42, we got maybe the most underrated rapper in the world right now, Blue, linking up with Real Bad Man for Bad News. Really tight. Just great rap album. Number 41, we got Andre 3000 with New Blue Sun, one of the greatest rappers, lyricists ever, making his debut album, an ambient new age album. And who the fuck would have thought it'd be so good? Number 40, we got Travis Scott with Utopia. I had zero hype, expectations, hope, nothing for this album. And I'm very glad to say he proved me wrong. It's a little bloated, but damn, it's good. Number 39, experimental electronic mastermind 106 Point Never comes back again with Again. Fuck me. I knew I shouldn't have 2 coffees in one day, bro. Goddamn. Number 38, we got Killer Mike's first solo album in years with Michael. I was very surprised by the versatility on this, but man, it's tough. Number 37, we got the Foo Fighters delivering one of the most passionate and powerful rock records I heard this year, but here we are. Very sad stuff, but powerful. Number 36, we got, of all fucking people, Skrillex came through with Quest for Fire. And if this was a quest for fire, you quest completed. At number 35, we got experimental rap duo Arm & Hammer back at it with We Buy Diabetic Test Strips. Very fucking weird album. At number 34, we got the Flag Hut himself, West Side Gun with And Then You Pray For Me. This album also gave me maybe my wildest reaction of the year, if y'all want to check it out. At number 33, we got Ostraka with Disaster. I hope that's how you say their name because I like saying it like that. One of the most cinematic screamo albums I think I've ever heard. Number 32, we got the ever so cutesy Pink Pantheress with Heaven Knows, followed by A$AP Rock with Integrated Tech Solutions. What a mastermind that motherfucker is, goddamn. Another person I'm really fucking hitting myself for sleeping on for so long. Maybe a diving in, perhaps? At number 30, Tim Hecker's music finally clicked with me. Ambient drone legend and a half came through with no highs, just it's weird to hear music that just sounds so monotonous in the best way possible. At number 29, Blockhead assembles the underground rap Avengers for a stirring pot full of styles, flavors, and feels. Dope shit, man. At number 28, we got Isn't It Now by Animal Collective. The boys continue having fun making these psychedelic jam band kind of stuff. It's a bit more loose, which works with it and against it in some areas, but overall they're back sounding fresh and seamlessly letting their creative juices flow. I'm a big fan. You gotta have it. At number 27, we got Key Glock with Glaucoma 2. Easily one of the best trap albums of the year. Followed by Mayhem Loren, Madlib, and DJ Muggs linking up for Champagne for Breakfast. Criminally underrated, dirty New York rap. Oh, it's just great. At number 25, we got another trifecta of amazing hip-hop artists. We got Wiki, Mike, and The Alchemist with Faith is a Rock. At number 24, we got Zach Bryan with his self-titled album. Easily one of the most soulful and emotionally potent and raw country albums I've heard all decade. At number 23, we got Lana Del Rey with Did You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard. If you told me at the beginning of the year that Lana Del Rey would be above West Side Gun and Animal Collective in the best albums of the year list, I would say, wow, that's crazy. Kind of like I said with Billie Eilish a year or two ago, I've never really been a big fan, never really given her the ear, but I can't believe how much I enjoyed this. It's very uneven in quality front to back, in my personal opinion, but the great songs on here are absolutely show-stopping, as I mentioned in the Singles of the Year video. The first song, there's a good couple songs here, some of the most potent songwriting I've heard all decade. At number 26, we got Wiki with the Beats by Tony Seltzer with 14 Karat Figaro. Man, there's something fundamental about that Figaro. That's all I gotta say. One of the most creative and banging rap records you can listen to this year. At number 21, we got Korean shoegaze indie pop monolith Parannoul with After the Magic. Talk about an album deserving of a nice cold winter walk. At number 20, man, I thought I heard a great spacey, layered, real massive wall of sound type of neo-psychedelic album when I heard M83's album earlier this year. But then I heard Ooh Rap by Ya by George Clinton. Get some good headphones and take a long walk by the sunset with this one. Keep the change. At number 19, we got Yule with Soft Scars, a very hyperactive and mystical, a pretty all over the place pop record in the best way imaginable. They went for a much more shoegazy kind of sound, at least blended in with everything they've laid up until this point, and oh my god, did it pay off. Wow. At number 18, we got legendary New York rapper, one of the greatest of all time, Nas, with Magic 2 and 3. I'm cheating a little bit here. Both are just so insanely close in quality and theme and sound. You can't even really tell them separately, in my opinion. They're both just right there. So I am cheating a bit. I did do a reaction to Magic 2 because I was so excited when it dropped. Check that out. But yeah, Nas, what a fucking run these last few years, man. God damn. At number 17, we got the classic Ferda Tunes award to give out for Ball Up Album of the Year. All my stoners out there, if you weren't bumping Larry June and The Alchemist, The Great Escape all damn summer while you smoked up, you were doing something wrong. You were doing a lot wrong. At number 16, we got Scaring the Hoes by JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown. Now, I know I said West Side Gun was probably my wildest reaction of the year, but maybe not. Absolutely one of the most off-the-wall, batshit, insane experimental rap albums of the decade so far, really. So chaotic and so much fun. At number 15, we got Victoria Monet finally coming back with the ever so sensual, soulful, and funky Jaguar 2. The sounds on this one, the instrumentation, the horns, the songwriting, it is just... This is an album you can show to your mom when she says, yo, they don't make music like they used to. Girl, listen to that last song, Goodbye. You better have a goodbye. Oh my god. Speaking of, we got number 14, Kali Uchis with Red Moon and Venus. I'm a big Kali girl. I mean, I'm gonna have to leave that one in. Kali seemingly pulls out all the stops by flexing her dynamic versatility on full display. Beautiful, gorgeous album, as anyone could have expected if you've listened to Kali Uchis before. I also did a first reaction of this one as well, and damn near creamed my khakis. Okay, let's move on. At number 13, much like another artist who's a little bit higher on this list, I started diving into Kalela earlier this year, and it was just perfect timing. Raven is one of the most immersive front-to-back listens you can have this year, period. This album feels like sinking into the deepest parts of the ocean at night, and then finding an exclusive fish club down there that's just banging. Amazing stuff. Also, That Feels Good by Jessie Ware. Wow. Can she do no wrong? I think not. Ever since 2020, when she also made it very, very high on the list with What's Your Pleasure, Jessie Ware continues with the disco, pop, dance sound, and it's just as classic as ever. To my ears, it really does combat some of the best disco stuff. I'm talking from the 80s, yes, like it's that good. I'm not fucking with you. At number 11, we got Danny Brown on the list again with Quaranta. Danny Brown strips back his sound to the bare bones and shows off his skeletons with by far his most personal album yet. This album being a deep dive into his mind and his thought process, really just sort of analyzing his career as well as his life up until this point, and it's pretty depressing, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's also jaw-droppingly real, raw, honest, and unfortunately relatable at moments, and also has maybe Danny's best lyrics and punchlines of his entire discography. It's just front to back bars on this thing. Getting into the top 10, we have the ever so lovely Caroline Polachek with Desire, I Want to Turn Into You. Some of you may know I started a diving in series on Caroline earlier this year where you can see my full thoughts on this album, but oh my god, I did not expect it to stick around so strongly throughout the entire year. Really just an art pop magnum opus for the modern era. Vocals, oh, the production, it's all so stunning. At number 9, we got Sampha with Lahai, someone who I never really checked for like crazy, but he also hasn't dropped anything in, I think, 5-6 years. So I went into this really not expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, but I got easily one of the most universal and emotionally potent R&B, alternative R&B albums with endlessly interesting production, with just drums and a lot of electronic kind of sounds. I really struggled to put this one into words, but it's such a heavenly album. At number 8, we got Tomb Mold with The Enduring Spirit, death metal band from Toronto, represent. And yo, they hit a new peak taking a more progressive approach. The technicality across the board on this record is endlessly impressive. The prog switch-ups, the last song, just jaw-droppingly epic. I think easily the best metal album I've heard all decade. And I'm not the one to really, be the one to say that, but it's also, like, definitely the one. At number 7, we got Mike with Burning Desire, possibly the most versatile abstract rap album I want to say I've ever heard. Mike just proves how deep his influence on underground and abstract hip-hop goes by seemingly dipping his toes into every type of sound in abstract hip-hop. It's a 24-track album, and it sounds crazy, but it's really not that long, trust me. And my god, every single song sounds different, somehow. I physically could not get enough of this album. There's so many fun, quirky, and catchy moments, and there's so many very dark and emotional moments. It's powerful, man. It's powerful stuff. Also, shout out Beware the Monkey. It came out on, like, Christmas last year. It was a mixtape by Mike. Also, very fucking good. At number 6, we got Mitski with The Land is Inhospitable and So Are We. I did a video covering this album. I've done a kind of diving into Mitski kind of thing, but I covered this album like crazy. I liked quite a bit of Mitski's work up until this point, but I had no idea she had this in her. Easily, absolutely the tightest project I've heard from her, and overall just one of the best indie folk, kinda country, but also like not really. Just overall singer-songwriter albums I've heard so far this decade. Quick 30 minutes and you will be left in a pool of your own tears, and it's worth it. At number 5, we got Billy Woods and Kenny Segal with Maps. Okay, one of the most prolific and lyrically potent poets of the underground rap scene drops maybe his most versatile album to date. Okay, I'd say definitely his most versatile album, and I'd also say his best album to date, which I can't fucking believe that I came to that realization, because Aethiopes last year was bananas. I hate that I said that, but I could not get enough of this thing. Every time I listened, I found so much more to enjoy. Kenny Segal flexed every single muscle in his body on this one. It sounds like there's like a dozen producers across the board on this thing, but it's just your boy. And it feels weird saying that Billy Woods is on top of his game, because like, when is he not? But there is something more real and in your face with his lyricism here that I just can't get enough of. It's so raw. Soft Landing, as I mentioned in the last one, is still one of the most beautiful songs of the year, and we get into much darker depths. And it's not as much of a harrowing listen as I find Billy Woods albums can be, where they're just so dark and so abstract that they can be very daunting. I'd say again, if you haven't heard Billy Woods, this is honestly a very good place to start in my eyes. I hope the fans don't disagree with me, but yeah, I really think this is at least the best I've heard from him. At number 4, we got Sufjan Stevens with Javelin. Possibly the most impactful listen you can have this year. Just wall-to-wall emotions of all kinds. This one really took me by surprise, and as many of you know, Sufjan Stevens dedicated this album to his late lover, which is just so fundamentally soul-crushing and heartbreaking going into this album. And it's god, I don't know if I hate myself for comparing it to Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. Yeah, because it just really is that emotionally charged lyrically, but then the production and the instrumentation is just some of the most absolutely stunning, beautiful compositions I heard all year. Not all year, all decade, for real. And I just mean the instrumentation is so whimsical and beautiful in the most positive way, but then you dive into those lyrics and some of them are just, there aren't words to describe it. I said it in the last one. Wow. Shit Talk is an 8-minute opus and a half, and I cannot recommend just taking the time sitting with this song. It has a damn near Purple Rain-like structure where it really peaks in the middle and hits that climax, and then you have an utterly gorgeous outro that's really drawn out. I don't want to describe it too much because seriously, the instrumentation and the choirs all over this album, the songwriting. I can't believe this album isn't higher. I can't even believe it. But, I mean, we still got 3 to go. Isn't that fucking nuts? At number 3, we got Destiny by DJ Sabrina, the Teenage DJ. Now, I did a video on DJ Sabrina just as a whole, but I talked quite a bit about this album, and I cannot recommend checking out that video enough. It's like the most proud I've been of a video in so long. But yes, Destiny is a 4-hour-long dance, EDM, and house music extravaganza. I know 4 hours, I can't fucking believe it either. And I even more can't believe that every minute of this 4-hour album I fucking love. It goes absolutely crazy. So many twists and turns, beautiful detours into countless electronic, pop, dance genres, all while the entire thing connects to flow as one very long journey. It feels like an endlessly ethereal DJ set that is performed by God himself up in heaven. I cannot urge any fan of house music has to be tapped into DJ Sabrina. And as I emphasized so much in the video about DJ Sabrina, any fan of dance music, EDM, sample-based music that is so colorful and beautiful, you have to give this thing a shot. Listen to it in bits and pieces if you have to. I know it's long, but oh my God, every song here I live for. Watch the video. Seriously. Now, for number 2 and number 1, I have never genuinely considered this, but I genuinely considered doing a tie. I seriously thought I was gonna do that for at least a good month, and I finally, you know, if you put a fucking gun to my head, these are the choices I had to pick for 2 and 1, but these two are so close. So they are inside my heart and soul at this point. So starting with number 2, I'm gonna be a bit dramatic for a moment. What do you do when a collaboration in your wildest dreams comes true? 2 artists that you love to death, maybe they've worked together before once or twice and it's just been pure magic and you've always wanted them to come together and just tighten up to a full project, just them two. What do you do when that actually happens and it is actually as good as you could have ever possibly imagined? For some people, it's Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole for some fucking reason. Others, it's A$AP Rocky and Tyler, the Creator. Me, it has always been, for about 10 years at this point, Earl Sweatshirt and The Alchemist. Now, I know The Alchemist, you've heard his name probably a dozen times in this video and the last one. I would say easily the most prolific hip-hop producer of the last decade, and I'm not just talking this, I'm talking the last 10 years. The run he's been on in the last 7 years, especially, making collab albums with so many rappers, and they always come out fucking amazing. Prime example, Bada Boom Bada Bing. But this dude has just been on a god tier run. Literally, he's just shot into my top 5 beatmakers in hip-hop history about 2 years ago, and he just kind of steps one up each year. Seriously, I love him to death, and Earl Sweatshirt has always been one of my favorite rappers ever since I got into rap, ever since 10 years ago he released that first album. I also did a reaction to this album, which I feel like doesn't even come close to showing and displaying the amount of passion and love I have for this album. But oh my dear Lord, it is so amazing. And hearing Earl Sweatshirt make some of the most prolific abstract rap music ever, especially with an album like Some Rap Songs, he's kind of known to be a depressing lyricist, but absolutely one of the best lyricists I'd say in hip-hop history. The poetry and the multi-layered meanings behind his lyricism is continuously baffling. As a fan of him for well over 10 years now, I can say it is just ever evolving. Voir dire is just an absolute display of Earl's current moment in life and his analysis of, you know, the life around him, the thoughts he's had in the past, the depressing depths that he's been through, and maybe not overcoming those depths, but learning to live with them and very much accepting of, you know, the body that you're living in, the life that you're living. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say I cried quite a few times to this album, and I know for sure that Earl's delivery and Alchemist's beats on this thing, some of them, are not going to be for everybody. So please heed that warning before you just dive into this expecting rap album of the year. But it's really one of those albums, the more time you spend with it, and especially when you dive into the lyrics, I don't know how you could possibly not see the utter genius behind this. A gift and a half for me. I just wish my vinyl arrived sooner so I could prop it up, because you know that's on the way. So what could possibly be number one? What took the number one spot away from my dream collaboration that is essentially perfect in my eyes? And I can even still say at this point, it was the last thing I expected. Now, I mentioned in the last video and of course last year how inspiring it is to see so many prominent figures in hip-hop making songs and even whole albums essentially centered around mental health. Kendrick with Mr. Morale, Conway the Machine with God Don't Make Mistakes, even earlier on this list, Mike, Billy Woods, and Danny Brown especially, and of course Earl Sweatshirt. But to add to that list, I give you Ways of Knowing by Navy Blue. This is an utterly beautiful, heavenly sounding rap album with more soul than a sock with a hole, man. Word to doom. This album came out on the same day as Scaring the Hose, so I was all over that album all day. And Navy Blue, I had checked out. I liked his stuff, but it wasn't really crazy about him. And I hadn't really dove into his discography half as much as I should have. So that day, after I finished making the Scaring the Hose video and listening to that album probably 3 or 4 more times, I went on a late night walk and I had about 20 minutes to get back home, and I listened to this on a complete whim. I thought, hey, new music, you know, Navy Blue rap, I've heard his stuff before, I'll toss it on, I'll give it a shot. I wasn't even sure if I was gonna finish the album, and I think I'm very proud to say this is easily one of the most moving rap albums I've ever heard. I don't know if it's just me, because this thing seemed to be severely underrated, but the constant focus on feeling across the majority of his lyrics, paired with the ever so uplifting, and I'll say it again, heavenly production on this. This is among many rap albums that came out this year that most of them landed in the top 15 or so. It is the album that just keeps on giving. But this one is just absolutely perfect in my eyes. I've heard it probably 100 times now, but every single time I feel it sink in a little bit deeper. There's some genuine soul songs on here that turn out shockingly smooth. Chosen, one of my favorite songs of the year, I spoke about in the last video. I really hate to sound corny in saying this, but this really is like self-care rap. Like, this is a new go-to comfort album for me. It really gives me the same feels as like a Circles by Mac Miller, which is crazy because that is quite literally my favorite album of all time. And I just can't express the intro, outro, every single song here is magnificent. I hate saying like, yo, there's not words to describe it because it feels like a cop-out, but every time I've said it for any music on this list, and especially this one, it's truly baffling. I can't believe it myself. And I have to talk about Pillars. It is the hardest song on the record for me to come back to, but lyrically it is one of the most emotionally confrontational songs I've ever heard. It's just pure bliss, acceptance, and real personal storytelling as he lets us sink into his world and how different it's been since his grandfather passed away. Him even making an appearance on the gorgeous and just... the tears I shed to this song. And my grandpa also passed away a few years back, and hearing the first few lines of that first verse right after the chorus immediately stopped me in my tracks every single time. I'm entranced and my soul just feels open and full of love throughout the whole album. Again, I can't truly describe like how much this song and this verse, even just that verse, means to me. It is overwhelming. These songs really shine in a vulnerable and patient state of mind. Some motherfuckers just struggle to take in a whole verse when listening to rap music, and this, I can't emphasize how much treasure is hidden in these layers. And it's still crazy to me that the Earl and Alchemist album didn't technically make the #1 spot, but Navy Blue has never been one of my favorite rappers. Again, I hadn't heard much of him. Say it again, I truthfully can't describe how much this album moves me, inspires me, and just comforts my soul. And that I think that's it. My God. Yeah, I mentioned in the last video how many surprises came through with making these lists. Again, Lana Del Rey making it so high, Navy Blue being the #1. I've went through his discography now and I love him more than ever, and with this, he's like definitely one of my favorite rappers like ever at this point. I can't emphasize enough, if you want a rap album that's just gonna floor you emotionally and just show you the true beauty in poetry and rap music and God, these beats, everything, man, I'm gonna fucking melt over here. Like, I can't. So I believe that is all. I urge y'all, join the damn Discord. Come chat with some cool people about some cool music. You can support me on Patreon. It really helps out the channel. Your boy, I mentioned in the last one, we're getting back to it this year. I promise you, I can't emphasize it enough. It's gonna happen. I swear to you. And thank you just so much for watching. If you made it to this point, like, it means the entire universe to me. Y'all don't even know. Y'all can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. Links in the description. And it just feels so good to be back, sounding normal again with a new setup. I'll give y'all like a full life update soon, but man, I'm overwhelmed with joy with especially these top 3 albums. I mean, the whole top 10 just had me floored. And that Danny Brown album, I've been absolutely addicted to. It only came out like not even a month ago. But yeah, I'm just gonna run in circles. I love you guys so much. I love music so much. I love Ferda Tunes. We're gonna make this happen. Much love. Much love. Thank you again for watching. I put so much effort into these list videos. It drives me fucking insane every year, but I would pay to do it if I had to. I love it to death, and I love y'all. So please, again, drop your top 10, 50 if you want albums. What did I miss? What do you agree with, disagree with? Please let me know. I really want to hear it. And much love. I hope everyone has a beautiful Christmas, happy holidays, everything you celebrate. Much love to y'all and your families. Take care. And thank you again. Can't thank y'all enough. We're all free to some degree to dance under the light.